vibrations got all messed up with all that other stuff. But if we meet each other on neutral ground, as natural as we can be, we will feel the vibrations, and you will know whether your vibrations, whether you all are whether your frequencies are in sync. Okay. The next one is the law of polarity. You see, you actually mentioned this earlier. As above, same as below. As a person thinks, that's also how their sexual organs are going to operate as well. Okay? If their mind is messed up, their sexuality is going to be messed up. The law of rhythm. Now, I like this one because, we, especially black folks, we got this down. The law of rhythm, which is simply the law of movement. Women in particular like to talk about this when they're in clubs. They're looking out at the dance floor, and you've seen it. You've probably done it. You see a man who dances in a particular way, right? And we translate that and say, oh, yeah, he'd be good in bed, don't we? Don't you do that? That's the law of rhythm, the law of movement. We can create good sex by simply understanding and utilizing the law of rhythm. And this is something that the Europeans didn't understand why black folks were so good at this. Why? Because we are the creators, we are the users of all these laws for thousands of years. And the law of rhythm is one, the word rhythm itself is an African word. There's no word like it in any European languages, rhythm. It just has a feel to it. And we know how to use that law of rhythm. But we use it in conjunction with the others. See, that's why, like, you can get with a man and y'all can have great sex, but he's a dog. Why? He knows how to operate the law of rhythm. He may not know how to operate the others, but he knows the law of rhythm. Okay? And the next is cause and effect. We know that is what goes around comes around. And sometimes we deal with that in sex, in that a woman may have sex with a man because she wants to keep him, she wants to get him, and so she'll have sex with him as a way to try and keep him. And that's not enough. And what happens when she does that is that she's going into it with a negative intent, right? Because she thinks if I give him the sex, he'll stay with me. He's not interested in staying with you. All he's interested in the sex. So it was a negative intent, cause and effect, right? Whereas if we operate in truth, she might not have sex with him for 6 months. You see, because if she's going to be righteous, she's going to deal with him on an honest basis. She's not going to have sex with him until they have established certain things, these other laws, make sure they're operating correctly. And she won't have sex with him as a way to keep him. She'll be able to keep him because they are attracted to each other in a righteous way. Okay? And the last is the law of gender. See, a lot of times people don't think that there's a natural or universal law of gender, and that's simply the male and female principle. We see it all the time. You mentioned about the yoni and the lingam. We call it yin and the yang. It's got all these different names. In every culture except Europeans, they ain't got none. But I shouldn't say it like that. But in every culture you'll see it. There's something that's sometimes they call it the law of opposites, but it's really the law of gender. It's the male and female principle operating, and it's in everything. When we understand that, we also put that into deal with that in our moments of the ritual, preparing to have sex. If we understand these laws or these principles and we honor them, our sex will get better and better and better, because you can't put these into effect and be about a negative intent. I can't try to play on you. If I'm dealing with the power of thought and the power of the law of correspondence, the law of vibration, if my vibration is not right, you're not going to feel right.
Yeah.
You see? And I don't care how much liquor I put in you or what kind of drugs or even what words I say. If the vibration is not right, you should follow your vibration. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're talking about in terms of us understanding. These are principles that if we write them down, and maybe I'll put them down, and you can attach them to your site or something. But people come back and listen to this and understand that if they take these laws and these principles and take what you've been saying, we will be able to, little bit by little bit, heal ourselves, and then we'll be able to heal each other.
Mm-hmm.
Not just rush to have sex, and, it's killing us. We don't know no better to some degree. We think that the way to get to love is through sex, when it's actually the opposite. The way to get to sex is through love. Self-love, first of all.
And you know what really pisses me off? Because I think about how long time ago, how I used to have so many destructive relationships with men, and I knew all I wanted was one, and to get married and to settle down, and people would always say, it's going to happen, and it didn't happen. When I was in my 20s and raising my son alone, and they would say, well, you got to kiss some frogs to meet your prince. You got to go through this stuff to learn it's a part of life. And I thought about, it is a part of the lower third-dimensional life of drudgery and pain that they tell you have to go through, and they set you up for that. When if somebody talked to me like I'm talking to everybody now and really broke these principles down to me because I was walking around lost, those things wouldn't have never happened to me. I wouldn't have met a lot of frogs to find a prince, because I would have known the power that was in my womb, that was in my vagina, that I'm divine creator, that the matrix is inside of me, and that I manifest what I want by thinking it, by feeling it, by speaking it, by visualizing it, by walking and talking in that, and repelling anything that comes to me that's opposite than that. There were good men then, and there are good men now. I could have easily manifested that, but I took all that energy and depression and pain and saying, well, maybe the next one will be different, and I have to keep the faith, and I have to keep dating, and I have to keep myself open. That was a bunch of bullshit, and it sets you up for self-sabotage, because it's not true, and it's against the principles that you just described.
Yep. And plus it wears you out. You were talking about earlier about we're not supposed to get old. We get old and because we get worn out, because we live so much of our lives, especially black folks, we live in stress mode most of the time. And for those that
You narrow soul, can't hear you. You there? You narrow soul?
A little bit of situations,
right?
I
didn't what you said.
I said stress.
Okay.
That we live most of our lives in stress mode. And this
yes.
is real.
Yes. Yep.
See, the body is supposed to go into stress mode when it senses danger. And what that means is that the body will do certain things. For an example, when the body goes into stress mode, certain functions shut down. For an example, the digestive system shuts down. Why? Because the energy that the digestive system is utilizing when you're eating and you're digesting food, you don't need that when your body is preparing for fight or flight.
Yeah.
Okay? Your respiratory system kicks up a notch. That's why you start breathing heavier, because you take in more oxygen so that you can be prepared to run if you need to or fight if you need to, right? So the body goes into stress mode. Now, once the danger is past, then the body goes back to normal mode, and all the different systems again kick into their normal mode. Now, here's what happens for us. From the time we're born, actually we start in the womb.
Yes.
Because we live in a hostile environment. We come out of the mother's body into an environment where we start going into stress mode as babies.
Mm-hmm.
And we spend most of our days, and sometimes even at night when we're sleeping, we still stay in stress mode.
Yeah.
Think about this. Our bodies, it's like if we go to work. You go to work and you're working in a hostile environment. You're working around people that you know don't like you.